in Ireland. He lived in Ireland all his life. When he died, he left his remaining money for the founding of what he called, quote, a lunatic asylum for Irish mad. For indeed, they are all mad, but they are my kinsmen, unquote. Okay. However, not to worry, the English remain in possession of their other internationally recognised humourists, such as Lawrence Sterne, author of the original Shaggy Dog story, The Life and Times of Tristram Shandy, who was born in Clonmel, County Tipperary, Ireland, Irish. Oscar Wilde, famous wit, author of The Importance of Being Earnest, Lady Windermere Fan, so many other plays of manners. Irish, Merriman Square, Dublin, Ireland. George Bernard Shaw, Arms and the Man, Pygmalion, Irish, Green Street in Dublin. Beside the architect's office where Samuel Beckett, Irish, where his father had the quantity surveyors in the architect's office. So. However, Beckett's response to the question, are you English, which happened frequently, people say you're English, his response was, au contraire. And this is really the crux of the matter, because apart from my kind of Irish triumphalism reclaiming all of these people into some great national spirit, it's all a nonsense. Because they were all Anglo-Irish. Which means at some point their families had emigrated from England. Now what does this mean? Does this mean that they were not Irish? Of course not. And some of the, Charles Stewart Parnell, one of the leading historical political figures, was Anglo-Irish. Yeats, who basically created the conscience of a nation, was Anglo-Irish. But with some of these writers, with Beckett in particular, with Oscar Wilde to a degree, there is a discomfort with the notion of identity. They are not English, but then they're not quite Irish either. They're Anglo-Irish, which means that they're usually Church of England. James Joyce, there you go, James Joyce. James Joyce was sitting in Paris. And he was complaining to a friend about 3 o'clock in the morning that he felt that he was losing his religion, that the demands of Catholicism were too much. And the friend says, well, why don't you convert, become a Protestant? He said, look, I may be losing my religion, but I haven't lost my self-respect. There is a sense in the fervent Ireland immediately after its uprising, its independence, where the potential socialist republic was replaced by the Roman Catholic Church. People like Oscar Wilde, people like Samuel Beckett would feel very uncomfortable. Certainly they didn't feel English, but they didn't feel part of this kind of rabid wave-the-flag Irishness that was indelibly and inextricably associated with the Catholic Church. They were, if you like, alienated or defamiliarized, not integrated into this national notion. Now also in Samuel Beckett's own life, he was a fiercely independent spirit, and he had a mother who was also a fiercely independent spirit. So from a very early age there was a conflict between him following a certain propriety, because he was born into a wealthy Anglo-Irish family. Father was quantity surveyor, so within the Dublin of the 1920s, 1930s, this was a family that had a certain obligation to notions of gentility, to notions of bourgeois culture. They were, if you like, a model Dublin family, and Samuel Beckett was out drinking all the time and basically in a constant state of conflict with his mother. There's a line in Endgame, a play by Samuel Beckett, in which there is Ham, an old character who is blind, and Clove, a younger character who can't sit down because he has some mysterious illness. They're in a room together for the duration of the play. They may have been in this room together for all eternity. They may well be in this room together for all eternity. They have talked out everything there is to be said. After 15 minutes of a long pause in this play, suddenly Ham in the wheelchair says, Clove, do you think we're beginning to mean something? Clove says, mean something, that's a good one. As though it were a joke. In Waiting for Godot, where Vladimir and Estragon wait beside a tree all day for a man called Godot to come, who hasn't come in a number of years, who may never come. In fact, it might not even be the right tree. Godot might not even be the right name. They try to spend their time entertaining themselves. In the play, Vladimir suggests to Estragon that they undertake some physical exercise. And Estragon says, Vladimir, that's the spirit. We always come up with something, eh? Something to give us the idea that we exist. So when I say that Samuel Beckett's sense of identity is not something fixed, I'm referring back to Bakhtin's notion of the gay relativity of identity. That Samuel Beckett could actually deterritorialize himself to the point where the badges we use as demarcations of who we are, religion, nation, family, are stripped away until we are left with what? I would say, in Samuel Beckett's work, or in his sense of humour, there are three characteristics. One, there is an absence of decorum, politeness, social nicety, because there is no identification with the types of identity that require these social rituals. Anglo-Irish gentility is rejected, as are the mores of the nascent and aspirant Catholic bourgeoisie. In other words, he doesn't want to be like anybody around him. There is an exploration of extremes of feeling, comic and tragic, without respite, and an inability to identify and choose one pole, one place. Am I Irish? Am I English? One pole, one place. Neither. There's a shifting between the two, a constant swinging, or even the two existing side by side, and often in the same sentence. The idea of the comic and the tragic in the same sentence. Thirdly, there is a focus on the body and its gradual and universal decrepitude. And moreover, in Beckett, the body functions as a levelling device because its inevitable decay is universal. If we are different by race, gender, economic privilege, we are the same in this. Eventually, if we live long enough, we fall apart. The body politic. Now, on to the good stuff. I'll read you a few passages from Samuel Beckett, hopefully to demonstrate what I'm saying. Hopefully they're funny. As Estragon might say, we're doomed.